What up, Bucs fans? This is Michael Plus of Real Bucs Talk, back today to talk about the Buccaneers receiver position as we head into free agency, which surprisingly is only under a week away. We get closer to that March 15th date, and starting up the new league year and free agency and see what this Bucks team is going to do. And obviously, they're going to be looking for value. They're going to be looking for free agents that can come at a lower price. So it'll probably be a little slow start to free agency for this team. But let's take a look at the receiver position and what they have going into the 2023 season right now as we head into free agency, and maybe take a look at some potential targets that they could add, with value. But starting off, obviously, Mike Evans is going to be here. Stop the trade talk. He's not getting traded. Doesn't make sense from a contract and salary cap standpoint. Just doesn't make sense. Chris Godwin, same thing. He's not going anywhere. So Evans and Godwin remain to be here. Russell Gage, now again, that's a little more, I guess, tricky, or under consideration maybe as a potential trade or potential salary cap casualty. But I think he's going to be here as well. So I think those three right there going to be your top three guys going into the season. And now you look at Devin Tompkins and Kalen Geiger. Those two have potential to move up because when you look at this offense, they want more speed, they want more quickness, they want more separation capability at the receiver position. When you're doing a lot more mesh and crossing routes and stuff like that. So guys like this that, have maybe height limitations doesn't really factor into this offense like it did in the past with previous games where you wanted bigger guys, bigger receivers, especially inside in the slot position. So now, looking at that and looking at the offense that's going to be brought over, not really a height requirement or height threshold for the receiver position, which is nice because it allows more dynamics and allows more creativity. So Devin Tompkins definitely showed promise at the end of the year, and I think he's a guy that could be someone that could step up into a larger role. Remains to be seen. Same thing with Kalen Geiger. They both showed return capability, so have to keep an eye out for them. But let's look at the free agents, and those are the guys in the middle. As we go over to our next tab, Julio Jones again, did okay last year. Again, not great. He's probably not going to be back with the team. Same thing with Brashad Perriman. I don't see him coming back. Now, Scotty Miller is interesting because, again, it's been couple bad seasons for him, just down years with injuries and just inconsistent play. But let's look at his stats here. Again, a very nice season in 2020, the Super Bowl run, where he was pretty consistent. Again, 33 catches on 53 targets, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, the 15.2 yards per catch. That's the big thing. He was making a lot more big plays. They were utilizing him a little bit better that season with more crossing routes and mesh concepts where he could be a very good fit in this new scheme. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bring him back on a, a low value deal where, maybe it's a 1 year deal for minimum cost, and he definitely could add something and definitely bring competition. And also it's a guy that you trust. So definitely could be around for preseason, and maybe you see what could take place. If anything, he's at the bottom of the depth chart type receiver that could, in a pinch, give you big playability. So there is still some potential there with him. Another guy to look at is Marquise Goodwin. Now, again, this is just a logical name because he's from Seattle. He played with Canales, as who's the new OC. So maybe Canales makes a call to Marquise and see it's something that he would entertain. But again, he's another guy, not the biggest, 5'9", 180 pounds, speed threat. As you see here, again, the yards per catch, all over 14 yards per catch. So the big play capability is definitely there. He adds the speed dynamic, which I think this team wants to get faster. And obviously, if you add speed like that, that can be consistent separator and can create space for your bigger receivers than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think you definitely look to add that. Again, an older player, 32 years old, so he could be the veteran addition that they look for and could be relatively cheap. It just remains to be seen if he's if Seattle wants to bring him back or not. But that could be an addition. Again, just a familiar face to add, and you know he can still offer you some value. So I think that would be a name to watch. And then another one that could be under the radar is Brandon Powell. A lot of Gator fans will recognize the name. He used to play for them at college. He's been in the league for a couple years now. Has struggled with some injuries, but he was finally healthy last year. He played in all 17 games for the Rams and did okay. Again, not great numbers by any means. Not really featured as an offensive player, but he did specialize in special teams, which was really good to see. And that's something that the Buccaneers could definitely add depth to get guys that, have return capability and add a little bit more spark to your special teams. He's a guy that's done kick and punt return and has shown, capability there. So that is someone I would, try to look at, from a low cost standpoint. I don't think he would be very expensive. Um, so again, it just depends if he becomes available or not. That would be someone I would definitely try to target. That could just give you, a little bit different dynamic and a little more quick and shifty, type of playmaker. And see what he can bring. Still very young. I think I want to say he might actually be a little bit older. I want to say maybe 28. Um, but still a decent addition that could offer special teams upside. So yeah, I mean, overall there wasn't a lot, to take away from the free agents that were available, but we look at the Buccaneers receivers as a whole. I think this is a very good group, and obviously it starts with these top three: Evans, Godwin, and Gage. Those guys are going to be the money makers. They got to have to get it done because there's a lot of resources, geared towards them. So they're going to be the guys that you got to count on, and you got to hope they stay healthy. As far as the depth pieces, I think you're going to see, certain hopefully next level step ups in Devin Tompkins and Kalen Geiger. And there could be some free agent additions like we mentioned. And also in addition to that, there could be, a draft pick or two that is added. Absolutely. But overall, feel pretty good about the Buccaneers receivers as a group, and feel confident that it could be a pretty good year for them, especially in a new scheme that is going to create a lot more for them. So very excited to see what kind of production they can produce. And guys, hope you enjoyed this type of video. Be sure to hit that like button, comment down below what you think of the Buccaneers receiver group, and what kind of additions could they make to make it even more dynamic and more balanced as a whole. Let us know. And with that said, until the next one.